Hi, it's Thermal Imploder, and today we are talking about a topic most people have wondered at some point or another. Yes, we are talking about what if Obi Wan Kenobi didn't train Anakin? So, the first thing that I will be saying is the movie might have complete different outcomes, and a lot of things would probably change. Now, we are going to start out, of course, from the start of the movie. So, they find Anakin, and they'll bring him to the council. And he will do his test, and the council will see him, but they'll know he has much fear. Now, we're going to say that Qui-Gon here ends up convincing the council and survives his fight with Maul. Now, if he doesn't, Obi-Wan would probably still end up convincing the council for him to train him. Now, but if Qui-Gon survived the fight, he may not have needed to, maybe, it would probably be different, too. So, first thing is, maybe he died because he was worrying about Anakin getting killed, and maybe lots was on his mind. So, if he didn't have Anakin with him there at that time, needing to escape, then it probably would have been different. Now, we probably do have Maul dead, of course. Now, we're going to say Qui-Gon was probably injured, at least. So, first off, Anakin wouldn't be blowing up that whole entire space station in the sky, so that would change the whole entire thing on Naboo, and the Separatists would actually probably take control of the planet, and the whole entire fight with the Gungans probably would happen a lot earlier, and the Republic would probably end up coming in with more Jedi to help fight, and the whole entire Clone War thing would probably kind of start a little bit sooner. Of course, Anakin would be tested, but the council would know he would have much fear, and they'd probably still not want to train him. Now, Qui-Gon would, of course, convince them for him to be trained, and then, he would train him. Now, here's the thing, though. Obi-Wan is still being trained, so the council might allow Qui-Gon then to train both Obi-Wan and Anakin. Now, Obi-Wan would still be there, but Obi-Wan would only be there for a few more years, and then go off and become his own. So, Qui-Gon probably would be able to then teach Anakin to not fall in love with Padme, and Anakin probably would really trust Qui-Gon, because Qui-Gon is the first Jedi that he really meets, and I would believe that Qui-Gon is such a very powerful Jedi. I feel like he would do really well. And so Anakin won't fall in love with Padme, probably. And Obi-Wan would probably get another apprentice. And based off of it, I believe that apprentice might be Ahsoka Tano. So Anakin would never have his own apprentice. And he also might not turn. Now, of course, we do have the whole entire thing. What if he still falls in love with Padme and still turns with his mother? Well, the first thing is, Qui-Gon understands Anakin's fears and worries, and he'd probably end up freeing Anakin's mother, unlike Obi-Wan did. So then they would have that. So, he's been freed. Now, Anakin and his mother are now freed. Of course, Anakin still has his worries about his mother, but his mother will need to come out of his life, most likely. So, they'll probably have her put somewhere on Coruscant, but near the Jedi Temple, but not let Anakin visit her that much. And in that case, make him really busy training to be a Jedi. So, Now Anakin's probably training. He doesn't have his worries about his mother, and he never ends up getting those nightmares. Now, he may meet Padme and stuff again, but here's the thing. He will probably end up saving her and do all that stuff, but, well, Obi Wan kind of knew that Anakin liked Padme. But, because he even says, in that one scene, he says, don't let your feelings get in the way, and what would Padme do if she was in your shoes? And it seems like Obi Wan knew. Qui-Gon then would most likely also know, and train Anakin not to fall through that path, and most likely Padme would end up marrying somebody else. Anakin would probably not marry her at all. And then next up, well, we have the whole entire war. So, the war would have most likely started already, but it would have been a lot different. Now, the whole entire clone thing would probably actually not happen. Now, because Obi-Wan isn't doing that whole entire thing with Anakin, it might just not happen. Everything might have been a lot different. But we're going to pretend that everything that happened there did, and Obi-Wan tracked down the bounty hunters and got the thing and all that with his other Padawan that he would have had. So, he would probably end up going to Kamino, of course, figuring it out and getting the clone army to happen. But here's the thing. They were already in war, basically, because Naboo would have been taken over because Anakin didn't blow that thing up. So, now that is a small problem, of course, because the Council wants him to be trained. So now, yes, maybe they don't free his mother and he still turns and everything, but there's so many different turns that this thing could take. So most likely, I am going with Naboo gets taken over and there's a mass-scale war. Now, of course, the Jedi aren't warriors, and they'd probably end up giving up and letting the planet fall. But they'd not go let it fall lightly. They'd probably send a strong amount of Jedi to fight. Most likely maybe 10 or 20, and many of them would probably die. Now, the Jedi would know that they are in a war now. The Clone Wars would probably never happen because of it being probably already named something else then, and the war would have been a lot longer. So, now basically, we have a small little problem. We have a whole entire clone army. So, the clones would probably come in and help the Jedi's side, and they'd probably actually, the whole entire plans to make more and more droids would probably still happen, but in a much smaller scale, because Separatists would be taking out the Jedi so easily, and the Jedi would actually probably, there would not be that many. There may only be 100 Jedi left or something. And I have to say, now the Council would of course want an army, and they would take it, and it probably wouldn't become like the whole entire Chancellor thing probably wouldn't happen, because the Jedi would probably take the army in as them and under their control. So now the clones would go fighting, and the war would turn massively. So now at this point you have the war completely flopped over, and they'd probably destroy them, but the Chancellor would never come into power and become the Chancellor, period. So now we have a Sith just sitting there. The thing is now, he'd probably not go for Anakin and train another apprentice, most likely Savage Opress, or we are assuming Dooku is dead still and does die, or gets captured, and still that is something, but yes, he may not, but most likely. So, of course, we do have one small thing. Savage Opress and Ventress. Ventress would most likely still end up turning or end up dying, but everything would be a lot different, so we don't know. I would most likely assume that when Maul comes back, though, the Emperor, and in this case, still no longer and still not Chancellor, and just Palpatine, would probably take him under him and train him. Now, they would, of course, then take the whole entire droid army, and they would reveal themselves. Of course, now, Qui-Gon would have been dead, and Anakin would be his own Jedi. Now, we are around the time of A New Hope. Everything would have changed, and a mass scale war probably would have gone on all the way through Return of the Jedi, and maybe end with a completely different ending, because Luke and Leia would never come into existence, and Anakin may actually end up fulfilling the prophecy instead of Luke, and he might end up killing the Sith and ending it. So everything would be so much different, and it would take a complete flop on everything. Now, if we do come into about where The Force Awakens is, now the Jedi Order would have just been recovering, there would be no Luke and Leia, and it would probably be a whole new thing happening, so there would not be any more Sith. Now, of course, there would be a New Republic coming, but it would be more in the Jedi way. Now, the Jedi would rise, and by the time of The Last Jedi, everything would have came into a whole nother thing, and there would be a whole new Jedi Order. Now, by the time of maybe 10 years after The Last Jedi, the Jedi probably would have had their own army and be pretty much being the police of the galaxy. There would be a lot more Jedi being trained too. Now, if you skip ahead maybe another 50 years, the Jedi would have had experience now after going into a whole entire war, and they'd probably keep the clone army as a police force patrolling, and they'd probably make a lot more Jedi and train a lot more. So Anakin would probably end up dying, but having his own apprentice. Now, here's the thing: his own apprentice would probably end up becoming the new Yoda, if you know what I'm saying. And Yoda would, of course, probably die too, but maybe later, maybe not. We do not know. But basically, if Obi Wan didn't end up training Anakin, there could have been so much that could have gone wrong, and everything would be a lot different. Now, of course, there's the scenario where the Jedi don't win the war, and the Separatists take over, and the Sith end up ruling the galaxy. But that most likely wouldn't happen because, well, they're the Sith, and if that did happen, the public of the galaxy would probably rebel, and there would be a mass rebellion against them if that did happen. But that's another story for another video. If you guys want to hear it, then comment down below, make part 2. If not, then that's all I have for this video. So, thanks for watching this video. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't. Comment down below if you want part 2 or not. And yeah, I will be seeing you in tomorrow's video.